Press play to listen to this article by Jack Blanchard presented by Cent Tips here. Subscribe for free. Listen to Playbook and view in your browser. Good Friday morning. Christmas telly, Canadian national broadcaster CBC quietly edited out Donald Trump's cameo appearance from the 1992 comic caper, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Before screening the movie over Christmas, Trump supporters are up in arms, and it seems the president himself is less than impressed. "I guess Justin T doesn't much like my making him pay up on NATO or trade," President Trump tweeted this morning, after the big news broke. "The movie will never be the same. Just kidding, roll on 2020. Driving the day bolstering the blue, while Prime Minister Dominic Cummings Boris Johnson is preparing to tear up long-standing Treasury rules over major spending decisions next year in order to funnel more cash into the regions, The Times reports this morning. Dom and Bojo plan to rewrite the Treasury's infamous Green Book, which governs which proposed infrastructure projects around the country get the green light. Such a shakeup has the potential to radically change how capital funds are spent around the UK, and is clearly part of the PM's wider plan to show newfound Tory voters that he truly, madly, deeply cares about the North. Detail from The Times. Under proposals being drawn up before the spring budget, ministers will reassess how officials calculate the value for money of government investments in transport infrastructure, business development and initiatives such as free ports, The Times' Oliver Wright explains. Investment decisions would be less focused on overall national economic growth and, for the first time, Whitehall resources would be allocated on the basis of improving the well-being of people in the North, or narrowing the productivity gap with the South. This is actually a big deal. Anyone who has covered local politics for a living will know civic leaders have long viewed the Treasury's current spending approach with contempt. They argue that by prioritizing projects in wealthier and more populated parts of the country, where the overall GVA gains are higher, the Green Book has been exacerbating regional inequalities for decades. Brentford City Council leader Susan Hinchcliffe spelled it out during the Playbook summer tour back in August, as she vented her frustration at the lack of Treasury support her city receives. "We all want to rewrite the thing," she said. Could it finally be coming to pass? And there's more. Downing Street is also planning to set up a number of new government agencies out in the nations and regions next year, the FT's George Parker and Seb Payne report. A new advanced science agency, an employment body and a fisheries quango are among the new government-backed arms that could be stationed outside of London, they reckon. One ally of Mr. Johnson said there was a strong desire to move civil service jobs out of London, the FT reports. A source adds, "We're talking about some of the new bodies we want to establish, rather than simply moving existing Whitehall departments out. And there's still more. Ministers are also planning to tackle another long-running sore that blights the north of England, the truly abysmal Northern Rail franchise." Playbook missed this excellent Telegraph scoop yesterday. Apples, they buried it in the business section, but it seems Northern is to be broken up and renationalized in the spring. We can but hope. And there's still more. Even CCHQ faces being devolved to the regions next year, Payne reports in another FT scoop, although this sounds more a matter of political expediency than anything else. The Tories have minimal ground operations in many of the former Red Wall seats they won at the election, and plan to bolster their presence by breaking up CCHQ and positioning key staff in the regions instead. Central office really just needs to focus on media and research, a Tory insider tells the FT. "We are looking at how we can boost our field operations and keep as many campaigners on the ground as possible, especially where we won for the first time." Looking further ahead, there's been much speculation in the papers over recent weeks about the creation of a new Whitehall department to drive economic development in the regions, when the big reshuffle comes in February. The FT's George Parker reckons Treasury Secretary Rishi Sunak is being tipped to run this souped-up department for business, and has pulled together a must-read profile on the cabinet's fastest-rising star. People's Government update, and while the rest of Britain enjoys the balmy December weather, Boris Johnson and Carrie Symonds have jetted off for their Christmas break on a private Caribbean island, and The Sun has bagged exclusive pics of where they're staying. The Tory paper, which mysteriously buries the story on page 17, says guests at the £20,000 a week hilltop villa can pick from one of 3 private pools, and will be looked after by a team of staff including a butler, housekeeper and private gourmet chef. There are also multiple sunset decks, and 7 lighted water features. Frankly, it all sounds a bit nutty. Zara Blair. Playbook is sticking with sunny Stockport and my mum's legendary mince pies. ****, a message from Lloyds Banking Group. As we head towards the end of the year, we remain steadfast in our purpose to help Britain prosper. From helping more customers to buy their first home, to making saving for the future as easy as possible and supporting the transition to a net-zero carbon economy, we're here to help Britain prosper. Find out more, ****, what the actual fox. Britain is weird. If you managed to stay off Twitter on Boxing Day, you might have thought the only foxes getting slaughtered were a few poor beasts at the wrong end of a countryside hunt, plus maybe the Premier League's second-placed side getting a proper kicking at the King Power Stadium. Over on social media, SW1 was completely obsessed with Romaniac barrister Julian Mum's confession that he'd decided to deal with an urban fox that was trapped in his chicken wire by clubbing it to death with a baseball bat. This story escalated through the day amid mounting hysteria, and this morning features on the front pages of the Daily Mail, the FT and the Telegraph. And of course the RSPCA is involved. Festive roundup. Aside from beating animals to death with blunt instruments, what other festive activities have politicos been getting up to over the Christmas period? Playbook has been trawling through social media for the best festive snaps. Also chasing foxes, newly elected Tory MP for Brecon and Radnorshire Faye Jones spent yesterday attending an actual hunt in Hay-on-Wye, and tweeted this video of the brave huntsman setting off. And my god, is she getting ratioed. More animal news. Somerton and Frome MP David Warburton had an unexpected visitor to the house, and managed not to kill it. More animal cruelty. Hull East MP Carl Turner turned his dog into a creepy mini Santa. In search of the hounds, ousted Grimsby MP Melanie Onn was dreaming of a dog of her own as she took a Boxing Day stroll along the beach at Cleethorpes. Also hitting the beach, newly promoted Home Office Minister Kevin Foster, who went running into the sea, yikes, for charity at Tabe. There are pics and video. Heading for the hills, defeated Haywood and Middleton MP Liz McInnes went hill walking in Lancashire, and the view was exactly what you'd expect. On thin ice, West Aberdeenshire MP Andrew Bowie was getting his skates on in Stockholm. Staying in by the fire, Foreign Office Minister Andrew Stevenson curled up with a copy of Africa, Altered States, Ordinary Miracles, by Richard Dowden, which looks decent. Keeping it real, his predecessor at the Foreign Office, Alistair Burt, went to watch non-league football, which is absolutely the correct option, despite the weather. Big Allswade beat Hitchin 2-0, for the record. Here's Johnny. Shadow City Minister Johnny Reynolds was dad dancing with his daughter, and the video really is a delight. In your face. And speaking of videos, this clip of Glasgow East MP David Linden getting cream pied is absolutely excellent. A message from Lloyds Banking Group. From all at Lloyds Banking Group, we wish you and your families a wonderful festive break and a very happy and prosperous new year. Today in Westminster, you and your cronies, the Queen's New Year's honours list will be published this evening, and in among the usual celebs and sporting types, there will be gongs for some no doubt enormously deserving politicians. The tone was set last week with emergency peerages for failed MPs Zach Goldsmith and Nikki I will never serve in a Boris Johnson government Morgan, and hopes will be high for some more eye-popping cronyism tonight. The embargo lifts at 10:30 p.m. Expect plenty of coverage in tomorrow's papers. Hail to the chief. Brenda Hale, the brooch-wearing, Boris-baiting president of the Supreme Court, has overseen her final case and will retire next month. Today she guest edits the Today program on Radio 4, and sat down with the BBC for an interview in advance. Meanwhile in Brexit, The Times' Bruno Waterfield has a useful piece setting out the pressure points Brussels intends to apply in the forthcoming Brexit trade talks. Brussels will threaten to block the City of London's access to European markets in an opening salvo of post-Brexit trade talks in the new year, he writes. EU chiefs will also warn Downing Street that they could put up barriers to data flows vital to British commerce. The two decisions will be central to the EU's negotiating strategy because both will be crucial for the British economy. An EU source tells him, these are both big levers for the EU. Data adequacy and equivalence are decisions under our direct control, decisions that can be reversed at any time and that will be linked to progress in the wider negotiations. Already playing hardball, the UK is at the end of the queue for a deal to allow data to continue to flow freely with the EU after Brexit, a senior European official tells the FT. Wojciech Wojciechowski, the EU's new data protection supervisor, said the UK was 13th in the row of countries that are negotiating data deals with Brussels, allowing the UK to skip the queue would be a little bit unfair toward those who have already prepared themselves for this process, he added. Top trolling. Come back soon. European Commission Vice President Frans Timmermans has written a love letter to Brexit Britain, via The Guardian. Truth be told, I felt deeply hurt when you decided to leave, he wrote. 3 years later I am just sad that a member of our family wants to sever our ties. But at the same time I find comfort in the thought that family ties can never really be severed. We're not going away, and you will always be welcome to come back. Media Round Today program, guest edited by outgoing Supreme Court President Brenda Hale. And Convenient Ruth, LBC Radio, 9 p.m. Former Scottish Tory leader Ruth Davidson hosts the last of her week-long series on LBC, tonight featuring lovable TV funny man Piers Morgan. Have I got news for you? BBC One, 9:30 p.m. A look back at the highlights of 2019. Reviewing the papers tonight, BBC News, 10:40 p.m. Today's front pages, click on the publication's name to see its front page. Daily Express, Boris must act now to end social care crisis. Daily Mail, furious lawyer who beat Fox to death. Daily Mirror, hospital parking win. Financial Times, London's stock market suffers slowest year for IPOs since 2009. HuffPost UK, it's a washout, 10% drop in Boxing Day shoppers as bad weather hits. The Daily Telegraph, Church of England in new abuse controversy. The Guardian, tip of the iceberg, £30 million cost of out-of-court payments by police. The Independent, house building doubles in areas at risk of flooding. The Sun, Sky fail, secret MI6 building plans lost. The Times, Treasury to rip up rules in Northern cash boost. Beyond the M25 from Israel back the net, Benjamin Netanyahu claimed victory last night following an internal party vote challenging his leadership of Likud. It comes with the Israeli PM facing trial on bribery and corruption charges, as well as a third national election within a year after failing twice to defeat opposition centrists the Blue and White Party. With God and with your help, I will lead the Likud to a big victory in the upcoming elections, he said. BBC story here. From Beijing, not at all worrying. China, Iran and Russia are to hold joint naval drills in the Indian Ocean and Gulf of Oman. China's defense ministry announced last night, China will send a guided missile destroyer for a series of war games designed to deepen cooperation between the three countries' navies, a Beijing spokesman told a news briefing. Reuters has more. Your weekend in politics oh so quiet. The New Year honors are published tonight, but after that there's very little in the diary through the weekend. There are no Sunday shows and no Sunday crunch email from Politico either, though much of the nation will be settling down on the sofa on Sunday night to watch a new dramatization of one of Britain's most enduring political scandals. Episode 1 of The Trial of Christine Keeler starts at 9 p.m. on BBC One, starring Sophie Cookson as Keeler and Ellie Bamber as her friend Mandy Rice-Davies. London calling Westminster weather, cloud light cloud all day. Should stay dry. Travel, lots of delays and disruptions. Check ahead before setting off. No escaping Brexit, even the new London Tube art is Brexit-inspired, the Londonist reckons. The artwork, which is also on posters dotted around the network, is called Morden, despite not featuring the Northern Line, the website reports. According to the Welsh artist's PR, the name is an apt metaphor, signaling the end of the Northern Line and a nation on edge individually, collectively, politically and socially. Yikes! Happy birthday, Colchester MP Will Quince, Prince William's private secretary Simon Case, Tory peer, and father-in-law to Samantha Cameron, William Astor, Guardian columnist Polly Toynbee, Tory peer Brian Griffiths, Politico's Shahrazadi Semser, Tim Ball and Nicholas Finneker. Playbook couldn't happen without my editors Oya Sheftalovich and producer Miriam Weber. Subscribe to the Politico newsletter family, Brussels Playbook, London Playbook, EU Confidential, Sunday Crunch, EU Influence, DC Playbook, all our Politico pro-policy morning newsletters. Let's block ads. Why?